We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Bob Arum believes that Canelo Alvarez's skills are diminishing because of his hobby, because he keeps playing golf. Let's talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Bob Arum did an interview, link in the description. He says, and I quote, "I think the problem with Canelo Alvarez is you can't engage in a major fight and play a round of golf every day after you finish training. That kills your legs and everything. Canelo, who is a lovely guy, I really like him personally, but he just loves to play golf. That takes away, I think, from his performance. I don't think so." And this was Arum's response when he was asked about Canelo moving down to 160 or if moving up potentially hurt his performances. So he doesn't think it's so much the weight. He says from 160 to 168, as long as he demonstrates, I don't think he can make 160 pounds anymore. He can go from 168 to 175, but not if he's playing golf when he's training, end quote. And I would be lying to you all if I didn't say this. Sometimes I truly believe I am living in the twilight zone when it comes to the sport of boxing. Reason I'm saying this, I've been saying that Canelo Alvarez and his hobby of golf has affected his career, right? I was the first person to say this. I've suggested this in several videos. I didn't hear anybody really using this talking point, right? When I say these things, Ego Stradamus strikes again. But at the time I'm saying, in which I am saying these things, I receive nothing but backlash. People saying, oh, you're hating on Canelo. Golf has nothing to do with it. He beat so-and-so while playing golf. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're a Canelo hater. Fast forward to the future. Since I've made this statement many a times, as you guys see some of the tweets, right? If not, you can go check some of the old videos. Now Bob Arum saying verbatim what I said. He's saying, hey, Canelo, you know, is taken away from his craft because he's spending so much time golfing, right? Oscar De La Hoya, after the Bevo loss, said the same thing. So it's just ironic when I get on wax and say these things, no one else is saying them. And then all of a sudden, I'm, you know, public enemy number one and the Canelo hater, whatever else you guys want to call me in the comment section. And now fast forward to the future, Ego Stradamus strikes again. Now, as far as Canelo playing golf, that's his prerogative. He could do whatever he wants, but it's clearly a portion of his time is being dedicated to golf. And I agree with what Arum's saying, because I said it before Arum, before Oscar, right? Canelo playing golf, that's cool, but boxing is a brutal sport. Boxing is an unforgiving sport. Boxing is a sport where all athletes, for the most part, have a shelf life. You have a shelf life in which you can really capitalize and maximize on your journey. You see guys like Nonito Donaire, great champion. He's from out my way in Bay Area, big fan of Nonito Donaire. But you see in the second fight with Nonito Donaire and Neo Anui, he gets knocked out, right? He's an older fighter. You know, you had a war with the guy the first time, but age catches up with most fighters, right? Triple G, no different. He just fought Canelo and he looked horrible. He looked like a shell of his former self, and he didn't look like the fighter that we've seen in the past. We'll just put it that way, right? So it takes a real special fighter a la Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Juan Manuel Marquez, you know, great, talented, legendary fighters that have certain styles and take care of their body to the point where they have more longevity. You can see them fight elite people, like Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez in the fourth fight. Marquez was like 40 or 41 years old. So it takes something special. When Floyd destroyed Canelo, he was 36, maybe going on 37 years old, right? You've seen Bernard Hopkins. He's another person who kind of defied age and was able to beat guys at an advanced age, things like that. But it doesn't work like that for everybody. So you got a shelf life. Canelo Alvarez, I think he's really been exposed. He's a good little fighter, but here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez, he feels, in my opinion, he feels he has worked his way up the ladder, and he feels like, hey, I've been fighting since I was 15. People are happily paying me. I got whatever fans I got, and they'll ride for me. Networks are willing to pay for me and have bidding wars, things like that. So he's gotten big-headed. And in boxing, that usually doesn't last long. Somebody will correct that. Either a fighter on his way up who's hungrier than you, or, you know, your performances will diminish, whatever the situation is. And that's what it kind of looks like for Canelo Alvarez. While Canelo's up here playing putt-putt golf and stuff like he's Tiger Woods, boxing, like I said, it's an unforgiving sport. Boxing, you gotta train hard. And there's a great quote by Marvin Hagler. He said, it's hard to get up at 6 a.m. and run 8 miles in silk pajamas. Guess what? Canelo Alvarez literally pulls up to his weigh-ins in silk pajamas. Now, I understand he has a deal with Dolce & Gabbana, but he's literally, that I'm being, not even being facetious, he's literally pulling up in silk pajamas. So if you look at this stage of Canelo's career recently, namely since he's been on DAZN, it's almost like leisurely. He seems like he's treating boxing like he's a Walmart greeter. You know, he just puts his vest on, puts his shoes on, and then, you know, stands by the door. And he doesn't feel like he has many responsibilities. Reason I say that, he said he doesn't want to fight Mexicans. He said even if Zordo wins, who he hopes Zordo Ramirez wins, he said he's still not going to fight him. He says he doesn't want to fight David Benavidez. You know, what has he done? Who has he beat? He hasn't elected to fight Andrade or Charlo. He said Andrade's a horrible fighter. So Canelo's been living high on the hog, and he felt he's the king of the hill, and he thinks he can show up to fights in silk pajamas and also go golfing. And literally, if you watch the Caleb Plant buildup, part of the All Access was talking about Canelo and his golf coach and Canelo improving in golf, like literally. Cause so to me, I thought that was boring. I thought that was super boring. Floyd Mayweather, his 24/7s were action packed. Like, they're fun. All Access is 24/7. Floyd's were action packed, and it was usually boxing centric. It wasn't him doing a whole bunch of extra stuff. Like maybe they got a quick shot of him shooting pool or bowling or something like that. But they had a whole little segment of Canelo golfing, you know, and he's like, oh, I just like it. It feels good. And, you know, things like that. And people make this big deal. And what I'm saying, what Bob Arum and Oscar have come out and said, is true. How could you be the most dedicated? And I know Canelo said the golfing has nothing to do with it, but on the contrary, I think it does have something to do with it, because I'm not saying that's the only thing, because I also have other speculations on why Canelo has looked like he's looked, but I definitely think the golf there's a talking point there. So as I stated, I think Canelo is a diva, and I think Canelo has been spoiled, and he's been paid well, and he's grown kind of complacent and content, where he feels he could do, I'm a good enough fighter, or maybe pompous or, you know, arrogant, and he feels nobody can beat me. You know, I have a lot of experience, I got a chin, and I got some skill, I got some power. So it's kind of seemed like his performance, if you look at him recently, have been pretty flat. That's why I said the Canelo era is over. So I think his ego has gotten the best of him. He thinks he can pull up in silk pajamas while the other people are in track suits and, you know, really worried about making weight, while other people are doing additional miles. He's on the golf course, you know, and he thinks this is not hurting his game. But again, boxing, you can't have 1 foot out and 1 foot in. Fighters that are talking about retirement, I suggest you just might as well retire right then and there, because usually it's not good if you're already anticipating and thinking like that, because you got a person, a guy or a girl who you're going to face, and they're coming full steam ahead to try to beat you, maybe knock you out, depending on their style and things like that. So I think Canelo has, in essence, grown complacent. He thinks he could do the bare minimum, and ironically enough, against certain styles, he probably can. That's why he fought so many European and older Eastern European guys on his DAZN contract, because he feels he fares well with that style, and he can basically golf spend time with his family and, half-heartedly train and, be good enough to beat certain guys. But you notice as the level of competition grows, and keep in mind, he's not fighting the guys I want to see him fight, right? I didn't want Triple G when he was 40. Even the Bivol fight, I wanted to see the Bivol fight in the past when Bivol was calling him out. But Bivol he has a lot of quiet performances where he wasn't even looking that great. So that wasn't my first choice of a fight either, even though Bivol was good enough to beat him. You see what I'm saying? So even with that considered, Bivol and Triple G have enough to expose Canelo and his new training and golfing regimen, right? And can you imagine Canelo training in the gym, but then also golfing all the time, and then you're fighting David Benavidez? It doesn't make sense, because there's guys who are not making what Canelo's making, and their focus is solely boxing, and they're still not beating David Benavidez, and he remains undefeated. Same thing with Jermall Charlo. You got the Montiels and Deryevchenkos. They're not doing all these other things outside of the realm of boxing to prepare for a fight during fight camps, and they still can't beat Jermall Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. All three of those guys are undefeated, So when you fight the better competition, it would behoove you to really be boxing centric and focus 8 to 12 weeks or whatever your training camp is solely on that opponent and, getting through that training camp. But Canelo has gotten spoiled where he's able to make a lot of money for him and his family, but also indulge in a pastime like golfing, which really doesn't help. There's nothing about golf, the sport of golf, to my knowledge, that would help you in the ring. Like yoga would help you better than, because when you do yoga, they do positions, your body is limber, it's a mental thing. Some of those positions are hard, but some of those positions to get in are hard. So even something like ballet or yoga that teaches you coordination or how to relax your muscles, that would be beneficial for the sport of boxing, even though it's not a direct connection and correlation. Golf, name something. You're in a caddy driving around and hitting a golf ball with the golf tee and swinging iron. Like, that doesn't really help you in any way. Like, there's so many other pastimes you could do that may actually bleed into boxing training and give you like more hand and eye coordination. I don't really see how golfing would give you any inherent like attribute that you could bring and facilitate into the ring. And if you guys can think of one, let me know in the comment section. Because even like hand and eye coordination, when you're golfing, you get closer to the hole, right? You drive up to it and things like that. So I think Canelo's pastime, among other things, in his performances, recent performances have put him in a negative light. And with the failure of the pay-per-view with Golovkin 3, that was your best chance to possibly succeed on DAZN in terms of a pay-per-view, and it flopped. They said it did a little over 500,000 pay-per-view buys in the States. So, I think Canelo, I truly think his era is over, because the walls are closing in, and as far as I can see and forecast, it's only going to get harder for Canelo. There's pressure from he's undisputed, so he's the only guy at 168 with belts. There's pressure from all sides to fight David Morrell, the mandatory or soon to be mandatory, David Benavidez, soon to be mandatory #1 rated with WBC. People still want the Jermall Charlo fight. Andrade's supposed to be moving up to 168. Bivol already beat you, so that's proven to be a dangerous fight. You already said you wouldn't fight Zurdo Ramirez, but if Bivol wins, that's a dangerous fight. Beterbiev is a super dangerous knockout artist with 100% knockout ratio, and Canelo wants to golf. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. And I've been calling this out before anybody in boxing, and it's just now, like I said, it's like the Twilight Zone. People are just now catching up to Boxing Ego and my old work and things that I've been saying. It doesn't make sense to fight an Artur Beterbiev at 175 and not take it serious as far as, and give him the respect by not golfing. Like, how can you not golf for 6 to 10 weeks while you're training for a fighter? And to me, that's kind of like a disrespect. That really shows me that Canelo has had very little fear, and he's been so egotistical. He really feels he's gonna beat these guys no problem, to the point where he's not really worried about like golf taken away. And maybe he's even said in interviews that's not the problem. But I disagree. I think that's definitely part of the problem. You're golfing. You're not, there's no way like a coach, someone who's not a yes man, will say, hey, fight David Benavidez, Charlo, or Better Biev, or David Morrell, and every day after training, I want to see you golfing, which has zero to do with boxing and readying yourself for the fight. You're not getting punched when you're golfing. You're not, taking hits. You're not working on your reaction time. You're not getting your cardio up by golfing and then getting in the cart and driving around a nice green, pasture and golf course. It doesn't make sense. So to me, I think Canelo has kind of already checked out and he feels like, he feels he's the Mexican Mayweather or something, where he feels he's done so much that he's on his vacation tour or like farewell tour, where he's just like doing encore fights. He's really treating it like these are exhibitions. He's not fighting the people that many fans want to see him fight. And it's sad to see a fighter go out like this. It's good for protecting your record, but it's not necessarily good for resume. And I truly believe everything I've said in this video. Canelo feels he can get away with it when he's fighting Callum Smith or another British guy. That's why he doesn't want to fight David Benavidez, because if you get tired like you got tired in the Bivol fight, if you get tired like you got tired in the Triple G fight with David Benavidez, you are going to be in a world full of hurt. He's bigger than you. To me, he's stronger than you at 168. He has deceptively fast hands and blistering speed. That's going to spell problems. And that's really with any of the athletic, bigger people. Andre, Charlo, Benavidez, David Morrell, Better Biev. I don't know how athletic he is, but he can hit. He can hit. Bivol. All these guys, they all present clear and present danger for Canelo Alvarez. And I can tell you this, I don't know all of them personally. I've interviewed some of them, but I can assure you a lot of these guys are focused on boxing. Like, this boxing is all they have. And that's kind of what it should be. At least while you're in camp, it should be you focused on boxing, because boxing is a mean and vicious sport that if you don't prepare right and you don't, you get sidetracked or you worried about other things, then bad things usually are reflected. We unpacked. Make sure you guys subscribe, SLC, subscribe, like, and comment. That's my little rant on Canelo Alvarez and his PGA golf tour. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.